Hybrid work. It's our new buzzword for when you spend part of your time working from home and part of your time working from the office. Now, according to Gallup, 52% of US workers who have remote capable jobs are using a hybrid schedule. It means there's a pretty good chance that you're one of those people and you might be working some form of hybrid work. Now, when you have a hybrid schedule, it requires that you're going to need to transport some sort of equipment from one place to another. At a minimum, your computer, but potentially additional things as well. And unless you are a longtime consultant or in some other type of client service where you've been doing this since before it was cool, it's probably something that's new to you. And so Logitech has been trying to dip their toe into this market little by little to try and help make the movement of computer peripherals just a little bit easier. They started a couple years ago with this, the MX Travel Case. I did a review video on this 2 years ago. It's a $20 felt case, and it's pretty good. Now, today they're releasing a companion to this, and it's called the MX Keyboard Sleeve. So if this is for your mouse, this is for your keyboard. So we're gonna take a look at this, see what it can fit, see how the construction is, and let you know if it's worth the $30 price tag. So the MX Keyboard Sleeve is designed specifically for two Logitech keyboards, and that's the MX Keys Mini and the MX Mechanical Mini. But really, it fits just about any keyboard that is low profile and 75% or less. So any of your low profile 60% keyboards and just about every one of your 75% keyboards will work. I've tested it on several of my favorite keyboards, and I'll let you know whether or not all of them fit in just a moment. But first, taking a look at the sleeve itself, it's made of thick felt. So it's a sturdy material. It's not going to be as protective as a hard case, but it's definitely going to be more protective than a soft case. The main compartment holds your keyboard and uses a strip of Velcro to close. Underneath the main flap, there is also a very small pocket inside for a USB dongle. Outside, there's a larger pocket on the front, which also uses Velcro and could be used to store a charging cable or something similar. The one thing to note on this front compartment is that depending on the thickness of your keyboard, it can get very tight. So you're not gonna be able to hold a whole lot in there, really just like a USB cable and maybe nothing else. So now let's discuss how this fits different keyboards. I have a few call outs, and just know that every keyboard I'm gonna show today, I have a review video on. So look in the video description or check out the channel if you're curious about any of the keyboards that get shown. First, we have one of the recommended keyboards, the Logitech MX Keys Mini, and we also have the Keychron K3. Now these are both super low profile, some of the smallest 75% keyboards that I have, and they both fit great. The only call out here, specifically with the MX Keys, is to consider the shape. This is an interestingly shaped keyboard because it's very thin with this kind of large piece at the back. And when you're loading this, it's important to consider which way you load it in. So if you think about whether you want keys up or keys down, in most cases it doesn't make a difference. However, if you load it in keys up with the MX Keys, you really limit the amount of capacity in this front pocket. However, if you instead load it keys down, you're gonna free up a lot more space in the front here to hold additional components. So that's one thing to keep in mind if you've got the MX Keys specifically, and know that these very small keyboards are gonna have no problem at all fitting in and looking just great. The next keyboard I tried was this, the NuPhy Air75. This is specifically the first version, which has these removable orange feet on the back. The V2 version has retractable feet that wouldn't be a concern here. But if your keyboard has these or any similar sort of unusual feature, you're just gonna have to be considerate when you're loading it in, because it's totally possible if you're pushing this in carelessly, you're gonna lose that orange foot as you're putting it in. And so make sure you think about that for any strange things about the keyboard that you might wanna load in here. Otherwise, this fits great, definitely better without the feet on, but it works with the feet on as well. Now for the last two keyboards that I looked at, we have the other recommended keyboard. This is the Logitech MX Mechanical Mini, and we also have the Azio Cascade Slim. Now these are both on the chunkier side of low profile keyboards, and so despite the fact that the keys and switches are low profile, they're a little bit more chunky. And so when you think about adding these in, there's another important consideration. So if we slide this into the sleeve, And then we have a USB cable that we want to fit into here. It gets really tight and really difficult to fit in. So you're really going to struggle to have to shove that in there. So my tip for you is if you have the MX Mechanical Mini or a similar larger keyboard, then I'd recommend putting in your cable and whatever other components you want to put in the front here first, because those are going to be nice and soft and flexible. And then when you put the keyboard in, that's the rigid piece, it can slide through and make that a lot easier. Now these ones just barely fit, so you're really not going to be able to get anything much bigger than the MX Mechanical or the Azio Cascade Slim, but these do fit fine. It's a little bit bulkier than before, but otherwise it all works great. Now one thing that I wish Logitech had done slightly differently with the design was in the way that they applied the Velcro. So Velcro, or hook and loop, has one hard, pointy, rigid side and one soft side. That's the hook is the sharp side and the loop is the soft side. And obviously they had to decide to put it on one spot or the other here. And they elected to put it on the flap. And so what you may have seen in some of the parts of this video where I was holding the flap back as I removed the keyboard, if you don't do that, what's going to happen is the flap will stick straight out, and as you are removing it, your hand will 100% scratch up against that pointy part of the hook and loop. And that means that every time you're taking your keyboard in or out, you're going to be running into that. On the flip side, with this front component where you can keep cables, sliding across that, you might hit the pointy part if they had reversed it. I wish they had reversed it because I'd rather it happen occasionally as I am taking out cables versus potentially every time as I'm taking out my keyboard. So that's one small change that I would have made, but I think the workaround really is hold this back when you're taking your keyboard out or putting it away, and that should solve it. So finally, let's talk pricing. Logitech is charging $30 for the MX Keyboard Sleeve, which I think is a relatively fair price. It is $10 more expensive than the MX Travel Case that we showed before. This comes in at $20, but I think that if you look at comparable items in the marketplace, $30 is actually a reasonable price point for this. One thing that I compared it to was the NuPhy NuFolio. Now that's not as universal as this because it's designed specifically to fit the NuPhy keyboards, but it does have more features and it comes in right at that same $30 price point. So this doesn't seem like an outrageous price to pay, but also you can get it cheaper if you happen to be in the market for a keyboard. So this deal might not last forever, but at least as long as I have seen this product out, there is a free add-on anytime you buy an MX Keys Mini or an MX Mechanical Mini. So those two keyboards that I showed you today, if you purchase one of those from the Logitech website, right now they will throw this in for free. So that's pretty awesome if you're planning to buy one already. The only consideration is that for both of those keyboards, you can usually find it cheaper to get the keyboard on Amazon. And so you're gonna have to individually weigh the sort of cost benefit there of paying more for it, but getting this free, or just getting the keyboard and spending less. But either way, I think that there is some rationale for this being a good product to buy at the price point. And I think that it's gonna hold up well and would really protect your keyboard and do the job for a hybrid work scenario. So what do you think the keyboard sleeve is worth? Is it worth 30 bucks? Is it only good as a free add-on, or is it something in the middle? Let me know down in the comments and feel free to subscribe for more while you're down there. Thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next one.